Hello. How is everybody?
Hi, doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Oh, hey, Rashid.
It's been a minute.
Ro, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you
Hi,
too.
Randy. Hi, Larry. How's everybody? Awesome.
Hi, great.
Good deal. All right, well, let's give everybody a little bit of time to get here.
Okay.
And then we'll get going. But so
Should get on.
was anybody at South by Southwest besides myself recently?
Yeah, can you let Alexa, she's in the waiting
I'm
room, right
sure. Yeah.
assistant.
Sorry.
Let her in.
I
There you go.
refused. I forgot to be on it over here. Okay. There we go.
Great.
Um, yeah. So, welcome everybody. We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to get here. And while we're doing that, I was down at South by Southwest and got to, see, many of the XR exhibits, which were super interesting, and was wondering if anybody here was there as well.
I wasn't
Um,
there, but I had a film there that Roe actually came to. I had an immersive film there last year that won the Best Audience Award.
Oh yeah,
what was
So
that one?
it was an immersive animated film for the Polyphonic Spree. The band The Polyphonic Spree, and it was in a makeshift dome,
Oh,
and
Yeah, I
wow.
heard about this.
it was one of my animators did a lot of the animation, and it was a wonderful experience. It was an exceptional piece.
I do remember that one. I don't think I got into it, but I remember
Yeah,
seeing the dome. Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. It was really an interesting experience. So
There were no dome experiences there this time, but there were
so
private rooms that people were doing different kinds of things and projections on the walls and stuff, but I didn't see any domes. So,
yeah, they had spent a lot of money on this project. They had a lot of investors, and Tim, I did a video for Polyphonic Spree in the 90s, so it was funny when this project came up. Um, it was a great experience, but it was cool that they were able to, build a dome at the Fairmont Hotel.
totally.
Were you working with Matt Daly by chance?
No,
Okay, he was in something else with Polyphonic Spree that last South by as well, but that was um, top of mind. So he was telling me about it.
yeah, it was very, very cool. It was Tim who is a Polyphonic Spree. It was his
Mhm.
partner, Scott Berman,
Yeah,
who produced the project.
incredible. I love I've been listening to them for like a decade plus. Like those, I mean, it's been incredible to hear their evolution and
I know, isn't that crazy? And it
yeah,
was so funny because when I was introduced to Tim and I go, "Oh my God, I did a video for you in the 90s when you were on Hollywood Records." That was
yeah,
like that was like, so long ago, but he still has quite a following, and he invested in the future, which was doing this animated piece that, now is playing in planetariums.
yeah.
So I'm sure it's gonna, it'll hold up.
Love that. No, it's super exciting. And congrats on the experience last year. Again, it was one of the more talked about things, at least in my
It
circle.
was. I know you couldn't get in, you know.
Yeah.
I told him I had to get Rowan. I go, you gotta let Rowan, you gotta let Rowan. Yeah,
yeah, that was
so
awesome. It reminded me of those Pink Floyd experiences back in the 80s, 90s, where you lied on your back in the Griffith Observatory in LA and you watched
right.
Dark Side of the Moon play out in this experience and flashbacks to that watching Polyphonic Spree. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I hope I get to experience it sometime then. That's one of the problems with this medium is the throughput is just so frustrating. You just have to spend all your time just trying to wait in line and sign up for, the experiences. So hopefully these are things that this group will be able to address or at least, discuss.
Yeah.
Um, well, so now that we've got a critical mass here, I just want to welcome everybody and do a few like what's coming up, conversations before we get into hearing from Ro and Randy. And Aaron, I see that you made it in. I'm glad that that things worked out. And do you, as the chair of the IXAlliance, do you want to talk about what's coming up or have any events that you want to talk about or talk about what we're going to do at our next gathering? Oh, we can't hear
You
you.
did it, Aaron.
And I'm on mute.
There you go.
Thanks everybody for joining. I see a few new faces that I haven't seen before here. So hopefully the buzz at South by Southwest did us a little bit of good. We launched, if you were there, we launched our immersive impact review, which is our first issue that was supported to get off the ground by AGOG, Immersive Experience Institute, and I'll go ahead and put the link in the
Already in there.
chat. Oh, Jonathan, you already did it. Great. I highly recommend this was one of our biggest goals when we founded the Immersive Experience Alliance 3 years ago, was to actually launch a journal, or we're calling it an online magazine, because we wanted it to really be a bridge between theory and practice and help kind of converge the immersive experience and immersive technology disciplines into a place of kind of dialogue. So what you're going to see in this review is definitely theory and practice. So this first issue, we put it out in 3 months. Thanks to Michael Epstein's review. So Epstein's a lead in that, and Amy Carlton from MIT, they both co-led the development of it. And so we weren't able to do a peer-reviewed version, which is the goal. The goal is that it will be an online magazine and have some practice, some curation. We're seeing curation is a super important part. There's a lot of people doing podcasts and things out there, and we're trying to curate some of the best, so that it's a great place to kind of come and look. But also, we want to start laying out some theoretical frameworks on immersive experiences. And help those that are like working towards their PhD in this field, no matter which major or college they're in. So keep an eye out for the next one. We are looking for submissions, and the next call will be released on April 1st, with a closing date of May 15th. So keep an eye out for that, and please share it with your communities, because this is a new journal or a new online magazine. I keep calling it journal, but we're calling it an online magazine. So online magazine. The other thing you'll notice there is events. So one of the things about being a member is actually we're trying to do some beyond the monthly meetup, which is open to everybody, whether you're a member or not, just to kind of build the community. But we're also doing in-person meetups. We've put under the events of that website a Meaningful XR conference, which is being hosted in your neck of the woods. I think it's at University. Are you participating in it?
Yep, still can't hear you, Jason.
Oh, Jason, we can't hear you.
But you look very northwesty right now with the cat.
I know, right?
Incredible beard.
Thank you. It's chilly here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes, I think I'm on 4 different posters, or maybe even 5 posters or presentations. We have a few things happening. It's happening in the lab that I was the tech at.
Nice.
I'm in between, but yeah, and anyone who comes, I put this out on LinkedIn, but anyone who's here, I'd love to organize a meetup, and meet up with Danny and Maxwell Foxman, 2 of our professors here who are advisors. I think they'd be great contacts.
Awesome. And Jackie was the one that introduced me. She was at UT and moved to Oregon, and she encouraged me to submit. So I think I am showing up at Meaningful XR. So I definitely think we should do a meetup and try
Yes.
getting more people. So really encourage you to come to Meaningful XR. Before that's the end of May 30th and 31st. There's also, y'all, if you don't know, the Sona Festival at Carnegie Mellon University. Have you guys heard of this one? The Immersive Storytelling Festival. Festival. This is happening next week, April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I am speaking there on my book. So come and watch it. Tell me if you think it's good, because I'm still working, book work in progress. But Sona Immersive Storytelling Festival, that's run by the English Language Cultures Department there. I think they're connected with ETC, the Entertainment Technology Center. So come over and there'll be a little bit of a meetup. Please let me know if you're coming to the Sona Festival. And then, Jonathan, we're going to AWE, right? I think we're doing AWE. So those are the three events this summer. AWE, right?
Yeah, and then I'll
Yes.
also make it just a quick plug for one other event that's we're doing for a few of the Immersive Experience Alliance members. Hi, by the way, my name's Jonathan Martin. I'm on the board of IXA as well. I'm at University of Maryland, and I'm very excited because Social Impact Build Fest is going national this year through IXA. It's something that Aaron started at TXI, Texas Immersive Institute, 5 years ago, and the one that is upcoming that I just sent a link for in the chat at University of Maryland that I'm organizing will be happening this weekend. So it's the first time it will be happening outside of UT Austin. So I think it's very exciting. And we've had an overwhelming response to it. We're partnering with Johns Hopkins and going to be hosting 50 plus students for this social impact Build Fest coming up. And there will be more about that at AWE. That's a lot of what we'll be talking about there.
Yeah, and after Jonathan, it's going to Colorado Boulder. So
Correct.
by the end of this time, we will be sharing a playbook, and a playbook that anybody can go and replicate and use. And I have two alumni who really want to be lead facilitators. So it's getting the playbook and inviting these two facilitators to run the Build Fest. Actually, Zane Giordano, who's one of the facilitators, when he was a student, helped launch the Build Fest and found the Build Fest. So it's exciting. It comes directly from students and what they want to do. Something a little bit different than a hackathon is kind of how they approach it. They really want it to be accessible and inclusive. And for those students who are in immersive experiences that don't feel like they really get the technical side, it really gives them an entry into it. So join us. It's fun. I think
Awesome.
that's it.
Thank you all. And I think that in the presentation that Aaron just gave, you understand kind of IXAlliance and what our mission is, by the way that she just described the review and what we're doing. But I don't want to delay any longer because we have two great speakers today. And so I'm going to give each of them about 20 minutes to talk and present. And you can write questions in the chat as we go, and we'll try to get to that, because we want this to be somewhat conversational and engaging. And we're going to start with Ro because he has to go and teach, and so Ro will kick us off. And now, Ro, I know some about you, but I'm going to let you really talk about your journey as a creator. And I know that you have worked with Randi, and we're going to start with sort of the creative process, and what it takes to execute a project. And then we're going to shift to Randi and talk a little bit more about how those, projects are, gotten, how they're staffed, how you find the right talent, and how you, sort of produce the whole thing. So go ahead and take it away, Ro. And if you need, I will give you sharing access as well.
Okay. Well, this is actually perfect. Randy, are we okay to talk about the horror film? Can we talk about
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is oddly perfect because the film screened. Did you go to the screening on Saturday?
No, I wasn't in town.
Okay. So a year ago, roughly, I don't know, about a year ago, Randy calls me and she says, "Hey, there's this director named Craig Singer who's doing this horror film, a live action horror film. He's in New York, New Jersey, somewhere on that coast." And I'm in Austin, obviously. So they're like, "We want you to work on this film." And Craig and I are just like exchanging Zooms and emails and whatever. And the idea for the film, it's a horror film, it's called The Block. And the idea for the film is that the writer, it's like a Stephen King like writer, and he's writing a story. Aaron, you might like this. And every time he has a writer's block, he goes and kills somebody to get out of writer's block. Again, it's called the block. So the whole idea is that he's going off and committing these murders. I read the script. It's all I have. Obviously, I read the script. I call the guy, Craig, and I'm like, okay, it's live action. How are you imagining these animation dream sequences, these premonitions of murders? And as a creative, and this is kind of like how I think kind of for better or worse approach everything. I look at it like kind of like a method actor would approach like how they would approach a part, like being an actor. So I get the script. It's a horror film. So Craig is throwing out all these random films that he's inspired by, John Carpenter's, whatever. And so my homework for the first, like, I think solid month, I just watched 30 horror films, like back to back to back to back. The best part was I was watching it without the sound because I had to study how they got certain shots. And Craig would obviously specifically even give me, it was the best homework ever. And Craig would I'd watch like 3 or 4 films. I call up Craig and he and I would talk about, look at that one shot, how we did that, or how the camera moves for here and there. And I'm like, okay, well, animation wise, what are you thinking? He's like, I don't know. I mean, it's really, the parameters are wide open. So in a way to get me even into the thing, again, there's no footage yet. It's just a screenplay. The guy is writing on his typewriter and he goes into this dream sequence or whatever. So I went out and I bought an actual typewriter, went on Facebook Marketplace, whatever, found a typewriter person, guy selling typewriter here in town in Austin, $20, old 60s, 70s typewriter, bought it manual. And I did a little stop motion test where I literally had the key hit the paper and then blood came out. And it was like this bleeding version of, as if the typewriter stabbed the paper and the blood became like the beginning of the journey. And I sent that to Craig. And Craig is like, that is so not what I want. But 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 I love the fact that you put some effort and some love and time and thought into conceptually why, that would actually make. So this led to a very long journey of kind of experimenting with different styles of technique. We talked about Terry Gilliam, Monty Python type paper cutouts. We tried that. I built like a bunch of random sets. Didn't work, thought it was too childish. Went down the Tim Burton route a little bit of kind of a little bit more kind of 3D, maybe kind of stop motion. That didn't work. Eventually, we settled on this kind of rotoscope look. That was kind of like, how we're going to create, what's that Linkletter movie, that infamous Linkletter? I forget.
Waking Life
Waking, thank you.
then
Thank
Scanner Darkly.
Yeah, so that became the look, but he liked in a way like some of the testing that we did, which was like the paper cutout was all spray paint. I do a lot of spray paint street art. So he's like, I want to keep that, but I don't want to make it too paper. I want to make it looks a little bit too childish or cheesy. I want to make it more slick and more high end. So do rotoscope, but do spray paint looking rotoscope. Now, this is the greatest challenge of all was he would send me footage to use to make the animation for rotoscope. The problem, if any of you have ever done rotoscope, you you can't have the camera be handheld. It needs to be a locked off camera for you to rotoscope it properly. Well, Craig, as you know, I'm not telling him what to do, but he was giving me footage that were all handheld camera moves. And I'm like, Craig, this is literally impossible to make this work for rotoscope. So he would give us the scenes and we would go into AI and would recreate the shot in AI. 0 point perspective, cameras locked off here, 70 millimeter lens, as accurate as we could be to recreate that scene out of his movie and then bring it into rotoscope and After Effects or whatever and add like the layer so you would never know it was AI generated certain scenes that didn't match that we didn't have for live action. So we'd have live action, AI, and then go into the process of making it, the craziest part was there were certain scenes that he didn't shoot. That he's like, I want a guy to hold up a gun, and the gun turns into a bat, the bat turns into a saw turns into an axe. He never shot that. And rotoscope, as you know, is live action converted into some sort of animation technique. So I had to go shoot it myself. So literally had to call all my friends in Austin. I'm like, do you have an axe? Do you have a gun? Do you have a bat? Do you have? So I had to go and get a group of friends and my family, weirdly, and everybody in my circle. Somebody had a chainsaw, somebody had whatever, and I was now filming this against my window just so I can do silhouettes of them acting out the scenes, like a gun turns into a bat, turns into an axe, and then I bring that in, we rotoscope all that. So it became a combination of AI, our own footage, live action, and then obviously layers and layers of rotoscope. And then sometimes I'd even go into Procreate and add a little animation touches to make it even like the flourishes. So it became the longest journey of process. But I got to say, I learned a lot about every version of, as of, I guess, right now, technology, what you can do when AI is useful, and how one AI would literally give you the prompt for another AI, right? So we're like, we don't know how to prompt this properly to get the shot, but we need it to exactly match the live action. So we're like, okay, ChatGPT, can you help us on how to prompt whatever? And it was the weirdest learning curve of, you know, a try not to panic because it was a pure panic attack for a little while, and then B, weirdly, we take like 10% out of this, 10% of this, 20% of this, and bring it together. And when you watch it, do you want to see a scene? You want to see how here? So this just
Definitely. We would love to.
premiered. This just premiered in LA on Saturday night. I was invited, but I couldn't fly out to LA on a Saturday, last Saturday. So I don't know, Randy. Craig emailed me and told me whatever. I'll find out what the follow up is. How do I share my screen?
Don't ask me.
Just go to the bottom and it
Oh,
says
here it is. Here it is.
share.
Yeah, here
Yeah.
it is.
Look,
Okay.
Winkle.
So here's a little bit of a trick. Can you see my screen?
We can make sure you turn the audio on though.
Turn the audio on.
Sometimes when you hit share, there's a little button that says share audio also. Like you can unshare and then share again.
All right, see if this works. Can you hear it?
No. Unshare it and then share it again. And you'll see, like, yeah, when you hit share, before you hit the screen or whatever, there should be a little checkbox that says
Share sound. Yeah.
share sound. Yeah.
It's been Zoom. It's been so long since Zoom. I mean, that was what, 2020 for us. Uh, you even see it? Hold on.
It must be starting when you do full screen, it must be going to a different window. It's okay if you don't play it full screen.
You see it now?
No, because you're not sharing now. You stop sharing, I think.
Hold on. She left technology. Um,
Make sure you share the audio because I always forget to do that.
think you're hungry. Yeah, I'll eat after.
that's all that's in the trailer for now. But you see that? Okay,
Very
so
cool.
that's the look and that's the flavor. And again, that guy is my effects partner, Arthur, who literally we had a guy in town who's also a director. He had a prop gun. I'm weirdly at a coffee shop and t telling this to the people I know at the coffee shop, and I go, I just need to find a gun for this shot. And the guy at the end of the coffee shop is like, I have a gun, and I'm like, okay, don't say that out loud. Don't. You're in Austin. Don't scream that in a coffee shop. And then he's like, it's in my car. So we go to his car, and he pulls out this box, and we open it up, and it's a gun. And the security guard is like, you guys crazy? Why would you do that in a parking lot in Austin right now? And we're like, no, it's not real. He's a effects director. He actually has this, but it was in his car. So that's to me Austin in a nutshell right there. Also, that's a perfect Austin story. So anyway, we got all this. It's finally, I think now, I mean, he had a screening on Saturday night, and I think hopefully it'll be coming out this fall. But that's probably my craziest like story on process and obviously trying to be true. This was I mean, I'm also a director, and I guess the biggest lesson that I've learned from this is that sometimes directors don't know what they want. And that's the forever juggle when you're, someone like me coming in and trying to hit the mark of what this person wants, but also what can you pull off? What do you know or want to know and can know and learn to know? And then, it's and Randy knows this was a no pun intended a nightmare project for a while. But I literally walked away feeling like I just graduated school. I got my master's in how to work on something like this.
Well,
So
Ro, can I ask a question? Okay, so beautiful work. And I love hearing about, we're hearing a lot of stories like this that, I mean, we all know this. Every production is different, but the tool set and the way you do it is just so vastly different now than it was even 3 years ago in the way that changes. So you also are faculty, correct? So what skills are you teaching your students in this vein of, content creation, or immersive or new types of experiences or new ways to utilize these tools or create workflows?
yeah, so I've been here 6.5 years, and honestly, it's changed almost every semester. I feel like what A is available and almost what students kind of want to learn. And I teach immersive, which is the school that Aaron runs, and I teach Texas Creative, which is a school that has been around for like 45 years, a Texas Creative Portfolio ad program, which is art directors and copywriters. So I'm in both those schools. Immersive by nature is very specific to like you want to create an audience engagement, experience. So they have a different version of what technologies might be used. Advertising by nature, we're making commercials and, kind of short form content. So for that, it's a lot of actual filmmaking tools, like, using, all the basic Adobe stuff like Premiere, After Effects, learning how to use maybe even for graphics like Procreate or whatever. So for that class, it's like, here are some basics, but you know, hopefully no matter what it is, and it's kind of like, even I show my class this horror film example. I'm like, but it's not the technology that's in charge. It's obviously the idea that's in charge. So whatever that is, don't worry about that yet. Let's figure out what you want to say before you figure out how you want to do that thing. And so the beauty of that is sometimes I'll go, all right, now to up your ideally your fun and your funness and your game of your skills, what do you want to learn? Like, do you want to do stop motion? Do you want to do, CG? So let's use that as an excuse on how to execute that concept. So a lot of students know about my world, and a lot of my world comes from animation and stop motion, experimental, I guess, in general filmmaking. So they're like, hey, can you do like a random class on stop motion? And I'll bring in my dolls, I'll bring in yeah, my whole office is filled. You can probably see already with the background. I have like so many random, pieces of like, armature wire and clay and whatever. So I'll almost let the class tell me what they want for those classes, and I'll teach them that. And usually it's because there's a purpose. It's not just a random lesson on whatever. It's like, no, I got to execute. One of my students is doing a campaign for a Ziploc. And the idea is that you got to know when to zip it. And it's like, you may say something and you're like, you know what, shut up. And you'll almost put words into a Ziploc bag and seal it. Like, this is when you learn how to zip it. So she's animating typography, like almost like magnetic letters you would put on a fridge, and they're animating into a Ziploc bag, and there's bag a ceiling, because the concept was zip it, and thus stop motion was a cool execution. So we're doing stop motion lessons in my class right now just for that campaign. And that's where I'm like, okay, let's have a reason to do it, not just like a random, tutorial that a lot of them will just be bored at. Um,
Bro,
but
talk about what you're doing in experimental storytelling with like you introduced them to ARGs and they're going to build the whole experience out now.
yeah, so this is a really fun thing that I'm really I get to do all layers of what I love. So in the immersive class, we're creating what's called Nebula. And Nebula is like this dreamscape, um, a set of experiences that are all dreamlike in this building in Seattle. And my class has come up with about four different ideas on how to make this dreamscape kind of experience. And the rough kind of narrative as of right now is basically creating a place where a person is trapped inside her own dream, and you have to get her out because she's trapped, and you have to like set her free. And the way to do it is you have to find codes that are hidden in like objects around a room, and those numbers you find on the object, you type into a payphone, and you get to hear her voice, and she goes, "I'm not out yet. Please help me. I need to be set free. There are three more objects, four more objects, whatever in the room. Help me get out." And then finally she gets released. Now, the beauty of this project is the first part of the class is literally doing like almost like a history lesson on storytelling. And storytelling for me comes from the Joseph Campbell hero's journey. I even did like a kind of a whole thing on Pixar journeys of how they build themes and build narratives. So the class is for the most part structured around what is storytelling, how do we build these narratives and arcs and whatever worlds and themes, and then let's apply it to what Aaron does is bring us real clients. So this is a real client project called Nebula. And they gave us like kind of like this dream world, and even gave us, vibes of like, little David Lynch, little Twilight Zone, little. So we already have like this world that they've kind of given us as like a landscape. And it's very similar to what I did on the horror film. Like you talk to the client, talk to the director, talk to whoever, get a sense of their vibe. Where did this come from? What's their kind of the ultimate kind of mood board that they have created for themselves. And for Craig, it was all the horror films that I watched, and I just watched them over and over and studied it and broke them down and broke them down and broke them down. And then obviously you find a connection. And then with my students, the hard part is for me not to give them my perspective. I really want them to do it, but trying my best to kind of give them somewhat, kind of guardrails and go, you're not David Lynch in Twilight Zone or whatever the guardrails are, and kind of play in this like kind of lane and try to still let them create whatever they want. And then of course the biggest issue now is how can we pull it off knowing our timeline and budget. So that's going to be our next big puzzle. But yeah, this is kind of why I love teaching classes like this, because it's everything I love all joined together.
I love that. And I think, it's those of us in this room, every semester is different, and we, re-up our tools, our way of telling, way of teaching, what we might, expose the students to, because you just have to stay so iterative and so fluid. But, that's a good transition, what you said, because Erin brings you clients, and we want to talk to Randi about getting clients and how she navigates sort of the more like producing area of these newer kinds of experiences that are being created. So thank you, Ro. I know we would have a million questions, but this is only an hour, and we're trying this new two-person speaker thing. So we'll see how it goes. But let's shift over to Randi, and we'll see if we have time for questions at the end.
Bro, there is a question for you in the chat if you can check it out, just about how Nebula was built. But yeah, back to you.
Yeah.
And just so you understand, I represent Ro. So I manage directors and animators and immersive content creators And I'm a producer. I'm an executive producer. I'm a connector. So what I'd like to do is show you I was a speaker at a conference in India, in Mumbai last year, and my assistant Alexa, we made a reel so I could show them. So I'd like to show it to you before I start to speak, so you can see everyone on there. I manage. I've either produced or executive produced, but I've handled the entire production from beginning to end. So just so you can see my immersive work, I started in live action, from music videos to branded to immersive, and I think it'll give you a real background of my production and management skills.
Awesome.
Okay.
When y'all share, make sure you share the audio as well.
Yeah, so okay. So
Hi everyone. I'm going to be sharing my screen now. Just going to show you guys the reel.
and it'll take you on a journey of what I do.
All right.
Awesome.
Just want to make sure you guys can see it. See
We
this?
can see it.
Okay, great. All right.
Awesome.
So, 1 second. So that goes. Oh, you wait a second. Okay. Um, so that kind of takes you a journey. My whole background was live action. I graduated USC Film School a few moons ago. And I really was producing a lot of live action, managing directors, and traveled all over the world, shooting live concerts, music videos, commercials, documentaries. And during the pandemic, I pivoted, you know. To me, just to start off, is there are two, which I tell animators, and I also lectured in um, Rose class when I was in Austin, and I lecture at a lot of art schools and universities, is that the two real keys to success is being curious and knowing how and when to pivot. And those are just really key components. And after the pandemic, I knew that live production was over, and I represented a few animators. I've had my own business for 25 years. So I've ridden many, many roller coasters, you know, the high highs, low lows, and I've seen everything change. And I've changed before I saw the chance to change. Um, and I started really getting into, I knew people needed content. So I just started taking on animators. I don't know anything about animation. The technical, I'm not an animator, but I have a very keen eye for it. I know when I see it. It's just an instinct I have, and I know in 10 seconds. And I started picking up animators and representing animators and going after record companies and brands and saying you need content and you know, I'm a hustler and I'm a connector, and I pivoted my whole career, and it started with music videos, all animated content, um, working with Sir Paul McCartney and um, Eric Clapton, and through Eric Clapton, that screened on in Times Square. Everything's connected. If you're a connector, you see how music and film and sports and fashion and lifestyle, they all go together. If you're in one, you can get in the other. Um, and then I pivoted into um, art curation. And if anyone were to tell me 4 years ago that I'd be an art curator, I would have said they were crazy. But I live in West Hollywood. I joined the Arts Council of West Hollywood, which is extremely progressive. And Sunset Boulevard, which I live very close to, is all LED billboards. It's insane. And I had two up last month. And so now I'm curating art installations on at Let's Go San Francisco, Denver Nightlights, um, and next month I'm going to London to for London Experience Week, which is an immersive conference that's just all immersive people coming from all around the world. I work at the Sphere in Las Vegas. I produce major global tour visuals. And another thing I've really gotten into is, besides the dome experience, is the immersive experiences, the engagement of people. Like there's a band called the Gorillas, and it started in London, but in Los Angeles it's an immersive experience. They were the first band to ever embrace animation as a brand. And they had an immersive experience. I went to New York, and there's a guy named Punch Drunk, and he created something called Viola's Room, which is an immersive experience where you're totally engaged um, in the whole event. And what was the other one? Oh, Mercer Labs that Robert De Niro has. Again, it's almost like the polyphonic spree. You lie on couches, and there's a 360, a room where he just speaks about his films and takes you on this journey of his films. So I changed my career. And I'm learning every single day, and I reach out to people every single day. I've met 100 people since last year, and I'm engaged. I'm engaged. I'm committed. I'm passionate, and I'm using the skills that I have to to be immersed in a skill that in a world that I didn't have experience in 3 years ago. And I think the future is bright. I think it's really exciting. I find animators, they find me. Um, if I hear someone's name twice, I make sure that I have to meet them. And again, it's curiosity and engagement and pivoting.
Well, Brandy, can I
Brandy, can I
ask a
ask a
question
question
about,
about?
oh, when you find animators, or are you also finding immersive artists these days? And are you
Oh,
as a connector, are you putting them in touch with like the Sphere? Is like the Sphere your client and saying, I'm looking for this type of content?
well,
Or how does that work?
I represent them exclusively. So
Oh, okay.
all of the people on my roster are exclusive to me. And just like with Roe, I brought him that horror film. The director is a friend of mine, and he said, I'm looking, he actually came to me looking for a different animator that I represent. And I knew that animator was not right for this project and couldn't handle it. And I said, you need to know Roe. So I'm a connector and brands come to me. I've been doing this a very long time, and as a producer and executive producer, that people trust me. So um, they'll come to me and say, I've got this project. Or I deal with managers. I'm working with Metallica right now. I'm working with is gonna be at the Sphere. I work with their management. I'm doing Sabrina Carpenter right now, global tour visuals. So people will come to me and say, I've got this project. Who's right for it?
Hmm. And how do you find your artists like Ro? Like, where do you look?
You know, I have thousands of people that contact me. I find them. I might see a spot somewhere, Instagram. And all of my animators are all over the world, from Spain, Berlin, Argentina, France, London, Poland. They're all over the world. It doesn't matter where they live. If I see something, I'll find you. And so I can't explain what I see, but I change lives. I literally change people's lives. And whether it's a brand, if I want to work with, what I tell all my animators is tell me 10 bands or brands you want to work with. I'll go after them. And I just call Nike cold. I call all the bands. I've been doing music videos for since the 90s, so there isn't an artist I can't get to. So I give all my animators a homework assignment. Who do you want to work with? And that tells me something about them. I learn about their profile, what kind of music they like, what kind of aesthetic they like. And so it's both ways. People will contact me, I contact them, but mostly I find them or I'm connected by somebody that says you need to know somebody.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying about telling the artist who do you want to work with because
Yeah.
that really helps. It really helps narrow down
Absolutely.
what's going
I
on.
don't want to go after something that doesn't interest them. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? If I know that they're into punk, if I know they're into country, if I know that they like Nike or they like, you know, you know, a certain brand, it helps me, and I give everybody a homework assignment.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Because I'm going to keep swinging it a little bit back to teaching.
sure.
But one of the things in teaching, Roe talked about the skills he's teaching and then the history of storytelling. But one of the things we always have to keep going back to is, lean into your weird is what I tell, the students,
Always.
what is the stuff that makes you weird that you love, that you collect, that you watch secretly or whatever, that's just this thing more about. And so I love that. It's still the knowing when to pivot is probably a really hard skill. that's earned by experience. I was wondering if you have
Well,
any teaching
well,
techniques.
I tell you what's interesting about that is that I used to shoot 35 millimeter. We made movies. Michael Jackson was 1,500,000 for a 3 minute song. We shot 35 millimeter. I hired DPs that work with Spielberg, that work with Scorsese. It was a different world. And digital came in, and nobody, all my directors said, "Oh, I'm not going to digital." Like, are you kidding? I'm not going to digital. I go, well, then you know what? Get out of the business. I learned you have to pivot. Things are changing. Just like there's AI. It's like if anything, if I hear of anything that I'm not doing, I'm curious and I need to know all about it. So then digital came in, and I think when David Fincher started doing digital, everybody accepted it. Um, you've got to change, like with anything, you got to change with the times. And you have to learn a new, you just take the skill that you know and pivot it into something else. And even with Rose thing that he discussed is because I do teach this and I do motivational speaking and I do inspirational speaking with students, is you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. There's a problem. There are no problems. There are only solutions. And I'm a problem solver. Whenever we were shooting live action, I don't go in the morning. My director says, "Oh, come in the morning." I go, "What am I going to do? Watch paint dry? If the camera breaks, what am I going to do?" I go, "But I come at lunchtime because lunchtime is when you're running behind. Lunchtime is when there are problems. Lunchtimes is where I can be the solution to whatever there is." So the biggest thing is also thinking weird is that I might get a brief for a treatment that let's say a band's looking for. And I always tell my animators, write what you want to do. Don't write the brief. Write whatever is speaking to you, because everybody's writing that brief. And I did that to an animator that I signed who was my first client, who subsequently invented Dragon Frame, which is stop motion animation software. Um, and we were nominated for Best Video of the Year. He wrote something that had nothing to do with the song. So it's another thing is be creative. Don't be afraid to be weird. You will stand out, even if you don't get the job. And yet don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't follow rules. All the rules are broken now. It's what I teach. There are no rules. You used to have to get to C, you had to go through A and B. Now you started A, you can be at Q tomorrow. No one tells me what I can't do. I changed my whole career. And I changed it because I was curious, hungry, passionate, and interested. But no one can tell you what you can't do now. If you build it, they will come. But if you're afraid to build it, nobody's coming. So I really believe and using Roe as an example, it was a nightmare, that job. It was because Roe wasn't understanding what he wanted to do, and that's okay. And I'm not putting anyone right or wrong, but I told him we're going to have to figure this out. Give him options because he doesn't know what he wants. And a lot of times a band will come with an idea, and you try and say, well, we could do this and we could go to the little left. No, tell them what they have to do. Tell them what they need to have. Tell them because I don't tell anyone how to write a song. Don't tell me how to produce a video. So I believe a lot of that is it is being weird. It is being different. It is being curious. You'd be surprised right now. I can sell an animator with a good idea to a band that's selling 1 million. Well, there are no sales, but let's say there were. So because if it's a good idea, I got people Eric Clapton. I worked directly with Eric Clapton. I did 5 videos for him. 3 of them had done 2 videos, but they wrote a good idea. And if they wrote a good idea and I know they can execute the idea, I can sell it. So, a lot of that is really important to teach in a class is think outside the box. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
That is all super inspiring and really, really helpful. And I think the problem is all of our students are going to want to come to you, but they got to get some things under their belt.
They do.
And so, when you, okay, if one person knows what they're, they know who they are, they know what they like. Do you look at portfolios, or how do you verify that you know, an idea is good, but can they execute? How do you verify that?
You know, it's an instinct that I have that I have a conversation first and foremost as I get to know somebody on the phone. And I look at the work that they've done and I ask them about it and I inquire and do research about them. Um, so I don't know. I just know. I wish I could explain that skill that I have, but I know. And I also know when they can't. And I know when the wherewithal just isn't there. But what I do know is that um
Is it the polish? Like when you see that they can, is it unfinished work or
it's a finished piece of work, no matter if it's 30 seconds. I know. I know. But I also know the one thing that some people say, which is a very, very bad thing, and I teach this as well, is don't do it if it can't be great. Don't make it if it's not going to be great. And because you can never say to somebody, but I only had 10 grand. Or people send me their films and they say, and the film is good and the sound is terrible. And I go, why did you have bad sound? And they said, well, I just didn't have good money for a sound department. And I said, then you shouldn't have done the film. Don't make it if it's not great. Whatever it is, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, I'll know. I'll see it. But you need, I'll know by looking at the work. Something speaks to me. I can't explain it, but it speaks to me. And it doesn't matter if it's a spec spot. It could be a 30-second spec spot for Nike. Just build it and they'll come. Make a spec spot. I tell students, make a spec spot for a band. People did spec spots for the Gorillas years ago. I had an animator do a spec spot for a music video and I sold it to the band. I mean, be curious, be a forward thinker. Don't follow any rules. You won't know until you reach out. So I'm all about looking at people's work. I'm all about looking and inspiring and trying to teach people to just do it.
Well, I love that because, also curate your portfolio. Don't show the stuff with the bad sound. That's the thing. Try not to just load your portfolio up with everything you've ever done.
Well, that also, but don't make the film. If you didn't have the right sound, don't make that's my biggest
or
advice.
or make it shorter. I always tell students less is more,
You want to know less
like
is more. And
keep it simple.
I'll give you a great little story. I did 10 videos for Paul McCartney. They were all animated and they came back to me and Paul McCartney loved them all and said, the label says he wants one more, but we have less money and we have less time. And I go, okay, well, let me think about it. And the next day I called him and I said, well, this is where we're at. You tell Sir Paul that that last one he's asking for, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be great. And you tell me what he says. And they came back and they found the money and the time. So why would I do another video if it wasn't going to be as great as the others?
Yeah. Well,
So
I know Elizabeth's moving and we're getting to our hour, so I'm just going to open it up really quick. Thank you, Randy. And I know Ro had to hop off, but if there's any last questions or if people want to share something that they're doing right now, please we'll take a minute or two to do that. I also want to highlight there's this link here for if you would like to be on an upcoming monthly meetup. Elizabeth is curating all of the people that fill out this form, and let us know what you want to hear at these monthly meetups. They're open to all, whether you're a member or not, for us to start having these conversations. Sometimes they are breakout rooms with discussions. Sometimes we have guests in, like Randy and Ro, sharing their practice. So share with us some of the things you want to hear, and we'll make that work. Any last questions for Randy? Any last questions for anyone at IXA?
No, but Randy, I'll just jump in to say thank you so much for sharing that. I'm excited when we have a recording of this to share with my students in immersive media. Um, I think there's oftentimes where the way they experience doing the work and getting feedback inside of an academic institution
It's
is
very different.
it's exactly,
Yes,
and there's
it's
many
very
reasons for
different.
that. So that it's really, really great to hear somebody who's as passionate as you are just about really about learning and about the fact that it's not a static thing you learn and you execute, which is often what it feels like in an academic setting, but it really is this ever evolving, changing thing, and that there could be something exciting about not knowing where it's going to go next.
And
Absolutely.
following your passions. Like that's what I heard. Follow your passions and be curious about them.
It's very true. Listen, I changed my career and it's if because I'm passionate. So, and my website is rwmedia.tv if you want to check that out. And if I'm always free to lecture um, with students. I love talking to students. I love inspiring. So keep me on your radar. And this was a pleasure for me.
And Randy, look,
Truly.
Yeah.
maybe we have
And
or is this a question
Christine,
for
it looks like
Christine?
Christine has a question.
Okay.
Oh, first time attendee. Great motivational speaking, Miss Randy. I have a question about what are the like when is it like do you have animators that are
You know,
upskilling?
I don't love AI at all. And I said I
Yeah, I
was
love
never
that.
gonna, and this
Yeah.
is a good question. I said I'm never gonna represent AI people because I love the craft of animation and my people are hand drawn and stop motion and it's a craft. But I do have three AI people. There's a world for it. I'd like to not be in it, but it's not going away.
Well,
So
and it looked like Roe used it when he was trying to
exactly.
figure something out,
Exactly.
so as a
And
tool.
and some AI artists are just, oh, it's like what I thought of AI that was cool 2 years ago completely bores me now because I've become a student of it. Now I know what's just eye candy and what's art. So I've grown too. So I think AI is definitely not going away, but between Guillermo del Toro, who just opened a stop motion studio, and I,
Great. Well, we're just a few minutes over. So Randy, thank you so much for
a pleasure.
participating today.